Hello, it's The Shift with me, Frida Liu, and what do we do at The Shift? We talked about sustainability, and whether it's a big shift or a small shift, there is a need to move in that direction. Now, how are individuals and organizations doing this? It's the collective effort of everyone. And my guests today are Collin, Swee and Syed Albar from Projek 57, which is a social enterprise based out of Malaysia. I want to talk a little bit about how you guys got together, right? And how this whole fits into the sustainability picture, but all great discussions, all great things happen over coffee. How did you guys get together on Projek 57?
Oh, funny you brought up coffee because that's how it started, right? We were having a chat over coffee and we started talking about how we wanted to be not just the people listening and reacting to certain issues, but we wanted to be part of the conversation. And of course, Projek 57 is about unity, and we wanted to be the ones that mold or create a conversation. What is the topic, you know?
Was there something that was, what led to that conversation? There was something that must have caused you to say, let's do something.
At that time, I think it was about 2015, and every morning you wake up to newspaper headlines about race, religion. Somebody wants to start a riot in Chinatown. So that at that time also, that coffee that morning, feeling a bit miserable, and we said, look, we're entrepreneurs. We love the whole concept of creating something, especially a brand. And at that time also, the whole movement of social enterprise was quite new in Malaysia. And we said, wow, this is good. We can put this together, build a brand using an icon like 𝗛𝗲𝗹𝗪𝗲, and then drive the message of unity at that time, because it's, like what Syadiq said, the narrative, to change people's negative perception, giving up hope. And towards more the positive, to give hope again about this wonderful country of Malaysia.
Right, and of course you are partners in another business, right?
That's right.
Long-term partners as well. So, and what connects you both, apart from your business? I mean, you've been in business for over 20 years, right? What connects you both?
Football.
At odds. Actually, it's funny, football at odds. And when we first got to know each other, in the space of engineering, we were competitors.
Okay.
And when I left the company, Collin actually asked me to come and join, come on board, and we've been partners ever since.
Okay, so that's been the story of 20 years already. Okay. Yeah. Now, on your website, it says, I'll quote this: "We share the vision of our first Prime Minister, 𝗛𝗲𝗹𝗪𝗏 Rahman, and our future depends on how well many different kinds of people can live and work together." And, you aspire to create a movement of hope of 1 million rakyat Malaysians, proud to be Malaysian and standing together in unity. Now, how are you measuring the million?
We built the brand on the icon of 𝗛𝗲𝗹𝗪𝗏 as what you just described, and to measure is very important to us, like in running a business. To always measure, smart goals, and we said, okay, 1 million would be a nice target to start with, and we talk about merchandising, and by tracking it. For example, today we have close to 500,000 merchandise sold, whether it's a ribbon, whether it's a T-shirt, a straw that we can that is green, you can reuse. So all of that, and so that is a measure for us to get to 1 million, because every item you use of Projek 57 kind of evokes that kind of spirit of unity or nation building. And on the other part also, we have very good partners, people who have come on board with us, who don't talk about commercial aspect. We say, look, we really believe in you guys, we just do it for you. So we have a PR consultant who have measured our impact in the media and so on and so forth, of which we spend very little money on, and it's reached out to close to 2 million people, for example, from whether the message has gone out there through media or some item that they wear, so on and so forth. So by that's how we track it as well.
Okay, so if it's merchandise and in a space of 5 years you already sold 500,000, should we increase the numbers or not?
increase as in
have
to
the bigger goal instead of
the
a million Malaysians, maybe
10 million?
10 million. Why
30
not? You
million,
heard
yeah,
it here
yeah,
first.
yeah.
Okay, and I think like you say you have partners, right? What are some of the projects you've worked on, and what have been some of the results? And I know you've tied up with different people.
Yeah, I think it's a cross section of industries as well. So on the education side is one of the big ones. So we work with a lot of universities, to name a few, University Malaya, Taylor's. We worked with IACT as well. So quite a few of them, and we actually do projects with faculties to basically make the students actually apply what they learn into a sustainable real business situation. That's one. And the other thing is obviously to also talk about what we actually carry, that story, that message of unity, and why it's so important for us to actually understand where we came from, to know where we want to go.
Right.
So that's, and we work a lot with corporates as well. So, you name it, from insurance companies to other corporates like developers and all that. And because it's something which is so important to everyone, it can be applied in many, many different organizations or many, many different kinds of industries.
Okay, so
Syadiq's favorite project, which he dragged me along, was the Unity Ride.
Okay.
So that one, we had to cycle across 13 states. I almost died, but he's very fit, and so that was 2017.
So you rode from Sarawak to Sabah.
So in different stages, we would have loved to do every single kilometer but we only had so much time. So we did it in phases. So we did cover Sabah and Sarawak in the cities, but beyond this, I think it would be great to do it like the full every single kilometer in Malaysia. But that was a project for awareness in terms of our messaging. So every state we went to, we stopped at the university and did a workshop. So it was always about that, not so much the cycling. But again, it comes back to this this target of 1 million you mentioned, right? Which it's been a very peninsular-centric project, Project 57. Because why? Because I think there are a lot of challenges here, and this year is the 60th year anniversary of formation of Malaysia, where Sabah and Sarawak took part. And that's why this year we want to make sure we start reaching out to Sabah, Sarawak, and then to expand it to beyond 1 million or 5 or 10 million. And because it's so important, Sabah, Sarawak.
One of the things you said was going to universities, right? Why is that so important? Talking to the kids at that age, before they start working. What's that message do you give to these students?
I think because students, especially at university level and all of that, they want to be heard. And it's nice to actually hear their opinions about what they think where the country is or where the current status is of, say, for example, if we're talking about unity or even about business. And this new generation, they really want to do something which is meaningful, not just to basically work, but to have an impact in terms of what they do. So kind of like, the satisfaction of what they do. They want to impact society. They want to give back and contribute. So it's really important to reach out to the students. And I think they're the ones that inspire us. So every time when we actually work with universities and youth and young people, we always say, like, we're here to basically give you our experience about where we've, both of us have actually been. But at the end of it, we always, sit down and talk, and it's actually the students and the young people that we've been working with that actually end up inspiring us to keep on doing what we're doing. Yeah.
Right. So just a couple of things you were saying. The corporate, you work with an insurance company, right? How did they? I'm just trying to get an idea if corporates want to come and work with you. What in that case? What was the project you worked on?
So if you look at insurance side, insurance companies actually have an amazing network, and they have very driven people actually working with them, and they can really reach out. And what we want to do is basically send out this message. And again, because of their network and all that, they're able to reach out to their clients. They're able to reach out to the network of agents as well, who are already, in a sense, they already have that network over there. So we, in a sense, tap into that. tell them our story, and then they actually look at it and go, "Wow, this is a great story. We want to share as well."
Right.
Yeah.
And like with a purchase of something, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So now, and how do you? I guess it's a social enterprise. How do you monetize, a concept called unity, right? And because you need to be sustainable to keep that message across, right? But how do you do that?
The message of unity is very global, I think, in fact. And in Malaysia, despite all the challenges, a lot of people want to just cling on to hope, right?
Yeah.
And they are always very supportive. So the merchandising, we have even embarked on a popular media platform. We are making a movie, for example.
Right.
So all these new ways we feel that that can convert it to commercial potential and thereby sustaining our project.
Right, and it's important, right? What I guess what you're both doing falls under SDG 10, which is to reduce inequalities and to promote social, economic, and political inclusion. Do you think you've made, inroads, and can we do this without including politics?
I think so. But politics will always be there,
right.
like many things,
right.
will always be. It's just part of the fragment or the fabric of everything. So it makes up where we are, right? But I think it is important to be able to look at how you can help people without having to, in a sense, be leaning towards a certain way,
right.
but just about what your intention is
right.
to basically help or impact society. Right. Yeah. So, and you talked about the SDG part about inequality, right? There's a lot of people in our society that we don't even know about that are very marginalized. And in our case, we work a lot with Orang Asli, and it wasn't by design.
Okay.
Okay. Our whole idea initially was like, we're going to work with youths, underprivileged youth. And then someone came up to us and said, "Hey, would you guys be willing to work with Orang Asli?" And we were like, "Of course." And the rest is history. We started looking at this as one of our main pillars to basically help.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So now Orang Asli, and I guess back to and why Orang Asli? If you think coming back to the whole message of what you're trying to do.
They were the original Malaysians of this land, and in every statistics you see, they are the most challenged in terms of education, land rights, every statistics, poverty. So we initially felt that we wanted to work with them at the university level,
right.
Give them education, study law, for example, but the attrition rate is quite high because of their communal within their DNA, the Orang Asli groups, the community, they're very, very close-knit. So if the grandmother is unwell,
right.
The Orang Asli student that we are sponsoring will go home. And he feels so bad about going home that he won't even get in touch with us. And after that, they don't come back.
Right.
So we have learned that step by step. And but one very clear part of it is just that they are the guardians of our environment as well.
Yeah.
And both of us have both our respective families have young children, and the whole climate action part is very important for us. And in Malaysia and many countries, the Orang Asli communities, they are the guardian of our environment. Right. So it all falls in line with nation-building aspirations, safeguarding our treasures, the khazanah, So and again, that's how important the Orang Asli community is to us.
Right. Orang Asli, the natives in Sabah, Sarawak, these are the original, the aboriginals of our country, right? Yeah. And there's a fine line as well, right? Being of political correctness and expressing opinions, right? How can we keep within that line when we become so polarized?
It's sometimes you cross the line.
Okay.
And sometimes you'll make mistakes. But again, I think it's always important to hold on to intention.
Okay.
In terms of what we do, the niyat. Niyat is so important. Why are we doing this? And this is something that every time when we are planning for what we're going to do next, I think one of the things we will always focus on, what's the intention and purpose of what we're doing? Why are we doing it? And sometimes you must accept to disagree. That's absolutely fine. the whole beauty of it is the differences that we have. We always talk about unity and diversity, right? But once you accept the differences, then you can start accepting the similarities with one another.
You know, you were just talking about the youth and how you're learning from them, right? And of course, your idea was also to share with them the whole meaning of unity, right? Is it, when you talk to them, is it a strange concept to them? You know, like, you know, I guess, like, I'm just saying, we're of that certain age where we grew up in that different environment. Do you find that it's a new concept for them?
No, they're plugged in.
They're plugged in.
They're plugged in. They're very good. They understand it. And you know, they recognize.
That's so refreshing to know.
Yeah, no, and they recognize the fact that there are things that we have to do, and there are things that are not going right.
Okay.
They recognize that, so that's important. So they're not, like, in a sense, blur about it.
Okay. Now, call to action, right? You know, with what you're doing, how can you get, well, everyone, or well, who would you like to get on board? Who do you think, you know, what can people do in support of this whole message of unity? We'll start with you, and I'm sure you got your comments too.
The call to action is, firstly, don't give up hope. We are still a very young country. Focus on the positives. As that very good quote always it resonates with me, is about, you know, shine the light rather than curse the darkness. Right. So that's first step. The second part is always remembering the goodness. I'll share this story with you, Frida. My son interned in Projek 57. Okay. 17-year-old. And after a while, I was quite surprised. One morning he challenged me. He said, "Dad, yeah, you got to be careful. I think you're giving people false hopes." Right?
Okay.
I think because this was the last few years when there was a lot of changes in politics and so on and so forth. So I was like, quite kind of angry, but kept my cool. But I just wanted to understand why he felt that way, which I did after that. Because again, when he meets a lot of people tell him, there's no hope for Malaysia, right? So when I explain to him, then it gives me my own what do you call the North Star. That finally again is about the people. It's about Malaysians, and that the goodness of people that you meet every day, the real Malaysians, put aside the politics. And it's about stories that is so powerful. You know, that there's like, for example, this young Chinese boy that we met. You know, he caught our attention because he was speaking this flawless Malay, right, in the background of us, and he's turned, and this young Chinese boy. And he shared, after getting to know him, he shared his story with us that he comes from Kuala Terengganu. Right. And his family and his parents have always, they are the only Chinese family in that kampung. And the communal spirit is so strong that they are invited to all the kanduris. And over there, the kanduris are a whole day affair, whole weekend affair. And the parents will be at the kanduri preparing food, cutting the meats, vegetables, all that. Never in their whole lifetime, nobody has ever asked the parents, "Hey, is your knife halal or not? You know, is it? You know, never." Yeah. So there's that trust and bond, so powerful, and likewise, of course, they keep a separate set of knives for this occasion. So, but there's this trust and respect that just, you know, transcends any kind of race, relation, or beliefs and all that. So it's so powerful, this kind of stories. That's why this is what we have to share more. This is the kind of beacon of hope that we say, you know, it's that heart and the human that is so much in communities and societies. And we have to focus on that.
It's disheartening when you're 17-year-olds and you're saying you're giving people false hope. What about you, Syed?
So unity, you know, I think everyone can understand. There's no finish line. Yeah. Constantly work in progress, and I've said this before, right? And it takes everybody. But as we are a very young nation, we should be allowed to fall, hurt ourselves a little bit. But when you get back on that bike that you fell off, that you start riding even better. So there's no finish line, but we have to constantly tweak it to always keep at pace with whatever that finish line is. Otherwise, we fall back behind.
So, I guess like this is important, right, for our nation is as we try to build all these 17 sustainable development goals, the nation needs to be together and intact. And so apt as well as we celebrate our 60th anniversary of Malaysia. Thanks for being with me on The Shift, Frida Liu. I've got Collin and the original Syed Syadiq. Thank you.